Okay, we're live.
Okay. I was reading about the crisis stage, and when I read about pre-crisis, I could connect a situation to my current workplace. My management at work tends to push situations they feel are minor away, and then depending on what the issue is, it could be a few days or weeks until the minor problems actually become a crisis that could have been avoided. Once the crisis occurs, stress is then put on the employees because the management is not familiar with effective crisis leadership. A crisis type my current workplace deals with would be public perception. My boss herself tells me how bad the organization has become because the organization got rid of stuff like telecommuting and rewards incentives that were once available a couple years back. But it's because we have new directors that change just the culture of the workplace. My organization does not pay enough money to some of the employees, and they do such hard work for the company. Tuition reimbursement was also taken away, and it affected a lot of the employees that were receiving that. A lot of people said the organization did not have much to offer after all these work benefits were taken away. I almost left my work for another opportunity, but was offered a raise to stay, and the only reason I chose to stay was because of the hours and benefits, and it's an easy job for me to have until I finish school. I looked at websites like Indeed.com and Glassdoor, also to see what reviews were being written, and they weren't that great. Some previous and current employees were saying how awful the pay is and how unorganized and unprofessional management was. Some also mentioned how work was boring and not stimulating, and others added on how management tried to control their employees or micromanage them. Lastly, a lot of employees stated that there was not room for advancement or a raise, and it seemed like they were going nowhere in their career. My organization has good benefits and hours, but unfortunately, it seems the bad outweighs the good.
Okay. Um, so after reading the chapter, um, I guess my take is kind of the opposite. I feel like the leaders at my company are um, really prepared for crisis, but more natural disaster crisis. We actually have earthquake drills like every 3 months. Um, so I think they make sure that, all the new employees, everybody is well versed and trained and they know what to do if something was to happen, what to do with customers, and um, they just really take like the extra step to make sure that everybody feels secure. Since I've lived here, there hasn't actually been an earthquake that I know of, but everybody's really prepared. And that's probably all I have.
That's cool though. That's awesome. My work does not do that.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Really prepares all the time for different disasters and different crises. One thing that we do is we have offices around the world. So there's an office in the Philippines that recently got hit by like a really bad storm a couple years ago. So we have all kinds of disaster planning and all kinds of crisis management that goes on. And the one thing that I read about in the text that I thought was important is just always being prepared because the unexpected can happen. And that's one thing that we do. Another thing that we do at my company a lot is we do a lot of disaster recovery and a lot of disaster planning. So we do, especially in IT, there's a lot of redundant servers, there's a lot of backup, there's all of those kind of things that we have to do. Another type of crisis that we're currently in the middle of is my services group is going to be sold to another company. So what's that public perception? Like, how do you make and happen to you and who's going to own you. So our management has been really in that pre-crisis mode and really working with us to help in our messaging so we can really be prepared for that because even though some of these are like what they call normal versus abnormal type of crisis, it's still something that you need to watch out for. Like the BP oil spill, they called normal, which I thought was crazy in our book because it didn't seem, but still it's something that can be controlled and people can plan for. And I think that they had been warned several times that they needed to be more cautious and they had been written up about some violations. So I think you have to take all of that into consideration and just prepare. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay. Luther, I think your sound's off too.
Luther, or is it Megan?
Can you guys hear Luther?
No.
No. Darn it. Do you want to see if like your volume's up on your computer?
Yeah, what, can you go and then maybe we can, Luther, it help me to log off and come back in?
Okay, I'll go next. Luther, you try to work on your sound. Okay. So on mine, I kind of worked in the chapter in chapter 12 on developing leaders. I think that kind of tied in with my work's crisis development kind of plan. So my work, I work for Starbucks. They kind of work on developing leaders, and the book talked about individual preparation, which includes developing a leader to contribute to overall organization. I really feel like Starbucks does this well because they actually hand out PDPs for every employee, which is a personalized development plan, which includes meeting with your store manager, discussing what skills you would like to work on or learn and improve. And it kind of lays out like what you want to work on and then when you know that you'll be successful. And I actually just had one of these with my manager, which was actually kind of cool because it kind of really correlated to this chapter. And basically, like, Starbucks is really about empowering their employees and really giving them the freedom to learn how to problem solve, which I think ties into crisis in a really great way, because if you learn the skills of how to problem solve, you're going to have that knowledge and that reaction time that you need in a crisis. And some of the crises that one of the ones in the 10 that the book mentioned was human resources. Starbucks actually has like a safe meeting area if anything were to happen, like in the store, and like preset policies that we're supposed to do and we're trained on. And yeah, so kind of just employee empowerment and really being able to have the leaders make decisions that they need to make in a crisis. I think Starbucks really does that well. All right. And Luther, were you able to do your sound?
I have an idea. Luther, do you want to text a couple of points across for us so you can join the conversation that way and we can pick up on some of your questions?
Yeah. You can at least contribute some of your ideas.
Yeah. Because we have a text like on the side. But didn't you all think it was kind of interesting? There's like so many different types of crisis.
Yeah, I thought so too. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And like how your work, Monica, actually does like earthquake drills, like
Yeah.
like kind of like an elementary school. I haven't done that since elementary school,
Yeah.
but that makes a lot of sense, though, you know.
Like, do you have to get under tables and desks and stuff, or do you have to go outside?
We go outside.
Do you? Uh-huh.
Yeah, my manager actually, with all of the shootings going around, you know, like at schoolings and whatnot, he actually came up to me and like we actually talked about that, like what you would do if that were to happen, like because I work at a public retail store, and I was just like, whoa, you know, I live in a small town, but it happens, and you have to be prepared.
I work for the state of Arizona, and we had a problem with security about the front door. Oh, Luther, sorry.
Okay. So, in my experiment with event production, we have to deal with preventing industrial,
accidents as well as public perception accidents. Now that's a really good point, Luther. Because accidents, like it's like that BP oil spill too. It's like, what's the impact to the community and the environment? So those are some things that really need to be aware of. So production involves heavy setup and installation of live events. Yeah.
And then we also have to be mindful of perception crisis problems for our clients during live broadcast.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
true. You wouldn't want to say the wrong thing when you're going live. Not
Yeah,
at
so
all.
Luther, are you working on the Oscars? Is that one of the events that your company gets to work on? That would be cool. Uh, hmm.
Okay. And it looks bad for the client. They have to look like internal leadership is not very strong to prevent this. We've done similar style events, but no.
Okay. Well, we're almost at 11 minutes, and I just want to make sure that we all got to see, hear what Luther had to say too, so he could be involved. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
mhm.
awesome. All right, so I'll go ahead and end it.